Crush.
Welcome to Crush Wednesday. It's Richard Tatunji and welcome to today's session. I'm out and about and I was in between meetings and I had to stop to do 11:11 Crush Wednesday. So if you're tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from and say hello. Today I'm going to talk about brand versus sales. It's something that I've been talking about for a long time, but I've had a lot of interesting conversations with maybe anybody who's listening, some clients, some workshops. Have been a very interesting week of a lot of conversations around this topic, brand versus sales. I'm going to cover kind of what's the difference between the two, if you don't already know, and what can you do as well for sales and what can you do for brand, and most importantly, what's the most important part of this? Is it brand or is it sales? And this is including you if you're a franchise, franchise owner, and you've already got a brand, or this is including independents out there who doesn't have a brand or building up their own brand. And it's a balance, isn't it? You've got to put a lot of time and energy into pushing the brand out and getting your values heard, and then at the same time too, then you've got to put out sales. Dom, good to have you here. Wow Me Wednesday. I'm going to wow everybody because, as I said, I'm out and about between a couple meetings, and this is a topic that is very passionate about. I'm very passionate about, and at the same time too, very realistic about what people need. And everybody needs sales, because I know that everybody needs sales. Sales solves pretty much all problems. Who agrees with that, yes or no? Sales solves all problems. Hit yes if you believe so. Ev is watching. Holly, Dom, if you are watching, just say watching, say hello. I might even wave you back because I've got a one hand going on here. And as I said, so let's get started. Because I'm going to be short and sharp. So, brand. What the hell is brand, and why? What the hell is brand apart from a logo? Brand is your identity. A brand is what you're known for, and a brand is pretty much everything that you're going to get paid on. If you think about Nike, I'm sure everybody owns something to do with Nike, and you're lying if you say no. And you purchase Nikes because you purchased a pair of Nikes. Is that because you thought that you wanted to be as good as Roger Federer, and you want to be a champion? We are champions, so of course we're going to purchase a brand of Nikes because we've done it on brand. Very simple. That's point one. But at the same time too, brand doesn't make sales initially, straight away. So what's sales? Sales is basically when you make a transaction. You take someone's credit card details and you make a transaction, ching ching, and you sign that person up, hopefully for a 12-month program or 6-month program. Now, if you're good at sales, and if we look at what sales is somebody that's strong on being able to take that transaction piece. Now, a lot of the time with sales is they're not very good at providing the outcome, which is results, or they lack the operational process. Now, your clients will tell you if you're good at what you do, your service. They'll tell you if they stick around. If they leave in the first week, 2 weeks, if you got them in a trial, it means that your service was no good. They weren't getting results. You overpromised something and they didn't get the end result. So you have a retention problem. And that means you've got a problem of getting results. And ultimately, you have a brand problem now because you can't actually get this message out on the brand. I mean, you can't do case study videos. You can't get reviews, testimonials. You can't do videos because nobody's willing to do them because they're not getting results. So when somebody says, I can't get reviews, I can't get case studies, it means that you don't actually have a very good product. And I'll say that again. If you can't get reviews, if you can't get case studies or testimonials, or somebody to say, hey, I trained with Dom and he's amazing, I trained with Holly and they were such a great trainer, whatever, it means then you don't have a good product. And so the best way to market is with a good product. So let me just go back again, because I'm sorry if I'm getting a little bit to my point here, but the build-up is important, okay? We all know build-up is important. So there's a few things here now we've now discovered. We've discovered that if you don't have a very good product, i.e., if you don't have a very good product, it means that you have a crap brand. I'll say that again. If you don't have a good product, service, it means your brand's going to be crap. And generally what happens is if people are just selling something like a free offer, a 7-day pass, it's because they don't have confidence in selling their brand. I'll say that again. They don't have confidence in selling their brand. So they just focus on the 7-day offers or the 21-day offers because they have no brand equity. Hey Peter, so when you're starting your business, it's really important to get sales by far. You've got to get sales, and you get sales fast. Otherwise, you don't have a business, you don't have anything. But as you progress through that founder membership, that rate, you've got to put a lot of the time into the equity of your product and getting your services and getting reviews and letting people know that you're actually doing a good job. And then you can take that and you can push that on brand. Now, once you do that, your sales will be really, really much more effective and they'll close much easier. So some things you can do in brand are run, and brand is the long game, sales is the short game. When I say long game, you may not make the sale straight away. It may take you a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months, 4 months, and that is very hard when you just want to make a sale. It's very hard because you're balancing it. Where sales, you make a transaction straight away. So when I buy a product, if I buy an iPhone, that's a sale straight away. But why did I buy the iPhone? I bought the iPhone because they had a long brand leeway into that buying that iPhone. So I'm going to run you through a few brand ideas for your business. One is to put on events. So to put on like a recipe night, to put on a fitness workshop, and you run that every week to 2 weeks to a month, every quarter, and you educate people for a low cost. It could be an evening, and you educate people on, how to eat properly, how to exercise properly. So they're just getting to know you, okay? That's number one. Catherine, good to have you here. So they're getting to know you. The other options here around brand is content videos, just like this. So it's content videos, and a lot of them. Regular stuff, at least once a week. Once a month is not really going to hit it, unfortunately. You've got to do more. And when I say regularly, it could be a bit of micro content. So regular content is good. And then once you do that, that's where all the PR comes and things like that. But I just think they're the two biggest things. It's content videos, and number two is run events, run nighttime events, run weekend events, run community events. Partner with your local pub, partner with your local coffee shop, partner with somebody that's not fitness related, that have a good and a lot of people in their community. Partner with those guys and run boot camps on Saturdays. Whatever you have to do to get people to your free or low cost event. And do that consistently. When I say consistently, lock it in every week, 2 weeks, every month, every quarter. Don't stop being consistent. Consistency is the game of brand. If you're not willing to do consistency, it means that it's just not going to work long term. So lock it in consistently. That's what it's really important to do. And I don't think there's enough of that happening at the moment, place. People are really still focused around a sale, and rightly so, because a sale puts food on the table for you. A sale makes things happen. So if you're not willing to do brand, you have to be willing to invest in some ads, either on Google AdWords, on remarketing, or on Facebook. And I might sound like a broken record for those who do follow, who have seen any of our stuff before, but that's the fact of the matter. Now, some short-term sales approaches. Let me give you some short-term low cost is email to your database, a survey. Email to old members, a survey of why they didn't join, why they left, did they get value out, ask them for referrals in the meantime. These are the people that have already trusted your services, so try to ask them for more. Set up on SurveyMonkey, that's low-end stuff. The other low-end short-term strategies you can do in sales is to make sure that you ask for referrals internally. Now, I know I sound like this is not digital stuff, Richard, but this is low-cost stuff that doesn't cost you any money, it costs you your time. And I think they're underutilized quite a lot by a lot of people. I don't think we're doing that well enough. And I think we spend a lot of time on, generating more sales. Hey, let's run Facebook ads. But if you don't have the budget, you don't have the budget. And that's just fine. It means that you need to do more and stuff internally and plan it out. So SurveyMonkey is a good thing to run surveys and ask your members, 10 questions. And the last question, ask them, would you refer anybody here? And then ask them, can I have those names and details, please? And give them an award, give them a certificate for doing, not a certificate, sorry, give them something of value to do that. Hey, Sally, good to have you here. Hey, Soph. Hey, Boris, guys, everybody's watching. What do you guys think about sales versus brand? I know I keep talking about this subject, but it's not used enough, and I need to bring more awareness to it because brand does take time. Okay, it takes a long time. It takes a long time, and you know what? It might be too long for a lot of people, but everything's built on brand. And if you're not willing to put time in brand, my suggestion is that you should work for somebody else's brand. And I'll say that again: if you're not willing to put time in your brand, you should go and work for somebody else's brand and help them to maintain a good level of quality as a trainer, as fitness, so they can have some great brand equity on the front end and work together as a team. So that's something that you may want to consider if you're not willing to put the time into brand. The other thing, if you're not willing to put the time into brand, be okay with being an amazing trainer, because I think there needs to be more amazing trainers, and be okay with saying, hey, I'm going to work in a club, I'm going to work in a Fitness First, I'm going to work in Anytime, and I'm going to be a trainer there, and I'm going to have my own community of people, and I have to put less effort into the brand equity, okay? Meaning you still have to do your own personal branding and get your Instagram and Facebook out, but it takes less time to close clients, because a lot of clients are coming in from the gym, if that makes sense. So there's less time that you have to build up a brand. Guys, I have built up so many brands, and sometimes it's just really exhausting to build up brands, to build up partnerships, to build up connections. But my words I would say is, don't give up, because it's worth it in the end. It's worth it when someone starts to recognize your brand and your equity, and it's worth it when your local community come up and say, I've seen you around. Isn't that worth it, guys? Let me put yes if you think that's worth it, because I'm not getting comments here, and I like comments. Put yes if that's worth it when you hear those remarks. Yes, so many coffees. Yes, I've already had 3 this morning, Sally. So are you willing to build up brand is my question. And if you're willing to build up brand, I'm just going to give you a checklist of what to do. 1, do content once a week, please, at least. Number 1. Number 2, make sure that you run a event weekly, fortnightly, monthly, at least a free or low cost event every single week, fortnightly, monthly. Do that. Number 2. Number 3, start using your database and your partners much more efficiently and effectively. And when you do that, that's what we're going to call the low cost leads or zero leads. So start working that world. But be realistic, knowing that you're going to that's going to stop at a certain period. You can't keep using the same database that you've used forever. It's not going to work eventually. So you're going to have to start putting money or time in organic marketing or paid marketing. There's going to be a time when you have to do that. And if you're not willing to do that time, organic or paid, you're probably good to say, you know what, I've reached my capacity and I'm happy here, because I'm not willing to put the time, effort into do that. And that's just the reality. That's the reality. But I know a lot of you on this live, you want to push through and you want to make sure that people buy into your brand. And I'm with you guys, because that's what has to happen. We have to have more game changers around here. We have to have more dreamers. We have to have more believers, so we can actually do that. And that's everybody here on the live. So I want you to do the brand, but at the same time too, be great at sales. And to be great at sales, just make sure that your community is on the front end, and your community is telling their friends and their members in your case studies and videos why you're amazing, and then run some simple ads to anybody who's watched those videos. That's sales. So be good at sales, be good at branding. If you're not good at any, make sure you find the right people, the right help to do so, or the right coaches. But it's really exciting once your brand starts to build, because then it doesn't matter if it's taken you 10 years to get your brand to here. It doesn't mean it's going to take another 10 years to at the same pace. It's literally, it's a compounding effect really fast, because once you start to get 1 to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 members saying amazing things about you, they're going to bring in more, okay? And it might take you so long just to get that one case study video or one recommendation video or one partner. Have faith in yourself that it's not going to take the same amount of time to get to the next stage. It's going to take way less. It's the compounding effect. Compounding effect with brand works. Compounding effect in sales doesn't work. So brand equity, long game. Sales, short game. So just know, believe in brand, not for today, but for tomorrow, and make sure that your sales is tight and you're doing enough organic things and paid items to do so. If you are struggling with any of these points, I know I've rambled a little bit, and I've rambled because my information is just coming from like all my conversations, and I'm having conversations with people that are like hugely successful in their business already, and they're at that point where they're asking, well, how much more money do I have to spend on Facebook? How much more time do I have to give it to it? Well, it's as big as you want to grow it. So my recommendation here is to think big, and a lot of you aren't thinking big enough, and that's why you're not investing more in your brand. So think bigger at what you do, and think about, like, if you were already where you wanted to be in 3 years, how would you react, and what would you do differently today if you're already in that position? That's the question I'm gonna leave you with. What would you do different today if you're already in the position you want to be in 3 years' time? What would you do differently in your sales? What would you do differently in your brand? And how would you act differently, knowing that you have the most amazing product and service in the entire world? How would you act differently? What would you invest in? What would you do? Ask yourself that question now and answer it for me now. Ask yourself that question and write it down right now, or comment below, even better. I know it's a very big question, so you might not have a quick comment for me, but just think about that today. How would you act differently if you were in the position that you wanted to be in? Let's say in 3 years or 2 years or 12 months, how would you act differently today? That probably tells you what you need to do. That will give you the answer of what you need to do. Guys, if you need more help with this, just PM me and just say, Rich, I need more help with this. And I'm happy to give you help with this. That's today's topic, brand versus sales. The answer to that is be good at both, because one doesn't work without the other. And that's the fact. And if you don't like it, I suggest I suggest that you start to work with somebody else's brand, and then you could put your expertise in it. And I think that's something that couldn't be considered. If you've been struggling to put it all together, start to work with more people around you, because there's so many amazing people who are too afraid just to pick up the phone and ask somebody for a drink or a coffee, or ask somebody, how can we work together better to build our community and to build our network up. I think have more collaboration conversations. That works really well. So Pam, Angela, Jared, Sally, Boris, hope I've left some thoughts rolling through your mind. This was Crush Wednesday, episode 82, I believe. And let me know what topics you want to talk about. But again, I know a lot of you already on this live, which is great. Anybody who's watching it in replay, I want you to comment now, what do you like better, brand or sales? And if anybody else on live now, write brand or sales. What's your preferred method? The long game or the short game? And there's no right or wrong answer to this. What do you prefer? And then you can lead with that, and you can get help around the topics or the way that, like, if you're leading with brand, you need help with sales then. If you love sales, you need help with brand. It's very simple. We can't be great at everything, guys. Guys, have an amazing Wednesday. I'm going to see everybody soon. Pam loves sales. I love that, by the way. Petra loves brand. Amazing. Isn't that interesting? That's great. So work with somebody who loves brand, work with someone who loves sales, even if you compare notes or merge together, and make Australia amazing. See you next time, guys, on Crush Wednesday. Bye for now.
Crush.